let me see that hand. You still shaking?
Yep.
Let me get real close on this. Still shaking. I see it.
Well, my name is Jeff Reese, and I'm the founder and president of Xtreme Jonboat Anglers, and we're located in West Georgia. I actually started a John boat club, or was part of a John boat club here in Carroll County 11 years ago. And we fished Lake Seton, locally known as Snake Creek Reservoir, and had a real good time with that. Ronnie and I fished that 2 or 3 years. And then we were a part of Little Water Bassin, the West Georgia division of that for a couple of years. And from that, about, I guess, 5 years ago, grew into, maybe going on 6 years actually, grew into Xtreme Jonboat Anglers. And we started out, as most clubs did, very small, couple of really good members that stuck with them. One of them still with me to this day. And so we grew from that, 2 clubs into this year. We're at 15 and holding, and have a waiting list with 3 members on it. So we've done pretty good for a small club in West Georgia. Well, it is my pleasure to introduce not only a competitor, great fisherman, and somebody that has helped our club grow, but a good friend. And Mr. Lee Drake, proud to have you with us here tonight. Lee has been with me now. Lee, how many years is this, 3 or 4?
This is going on the 3rd year.
3rd year. And Lee has stepped up in a big way last year and this year. And the club elected him as our first ever vice president. And so he sort of steps in. And when I say step in, this guy, him and his partner, Troy Thompson, and really everybody, Jacob Parsons, everybody really steps up. But last year we grew by a large number of people. And so Lee stepped up, Troy stepped up, his partner, Jacob Parsons, and my partner from last year, Ronnie Pendergrass, all stepped up, and we all made it go off. With the COVID that was going on, it was kind of difficult to even get in the lakes, and we had to do a lot of cancellations and rescheduling, and these guys pick up in a big way. And thank you, Lee, from the bottom of my heart for everything that you did.
Hey, no problem, Jeff. I enjoy doing it, man. Absolutely enjoy doing it.
I'll be honest with you, I watched the live presentation when y'all were doing the weigh-in. Hadn't talked to any of my members, and when I started watching the weights, and I knew that you were organizing the folks that were weighing in by what appeared to be in their weigh-in bags. And so I kept waiting, and it just hit me that my guys were kind of near the end. And Shane Deering, who replaced me, was one of the last ones. And I'm like, wow, this is great. Everybody's doing really well. And I started adding up the weights in my head, and I saw, everybody I've seen that's weighed in as a club. I was trying to keep up with the individual members, the ones that I knew from the other clubs. And I knew we were close. And then when I kept waiting on Taylor and Dusty to weigh in, kept waiting, and they were the last boat. And I had it was almost one of those, like going into the 4th quarter with 2 minutes left, and you're winning the game, and you're just afraid maybe you just missed something. And when that final weight was announced, I'm telling you, it was like being on a winning baseball team. I came up playing sports my whole life, and that moment, I can honestly tell you that I was as proud of those teams as I have ever been of any team that I've ever played on. TEC is the fulfillment of what we started many years ago when we started with the little John boat trails, and even before that, just going out John boat fishing. So now, literally, we have some of the best fishermen in the state of Georgia fishing against each other, and so you can kind of hone your skills. And I'll tell people this all the time: the only difference between John boat fishing, the way we fish, and people that spend $80,000 on a bass boat is, the boat itself, because we're running electronics that you see on an $80,000 boat, and we're using rods and reels and tackle that you would see from a pro fisherman. So what this allows us to do as John boat fishermen is spend less money on boats and more money on electronics and lures and rods and reels. And trust me, ask our wives and they will tell you that we do just that we spend lots of money on that. But I can tell you from fishing both the big tournaments, the BASS tournaments, and now John boat tournaments, that the only difference is just the format. We have as good a fisherman in TEC this year as I would put it up against any BASS trail or FLW or any trail for that matter. And I know it surprised folks that Xtreme won last year, but I can tell you, fishing against these guys day in, day out, month after month, we've got some sticks in the club. And to go to a TEC and fish against what I consider to be some of the best fishermen I've ever been around in these other clubs in the state was an accomplishment. And we feel like that. I feel like that we've got as good a team this year for boat team as we had last year. And so we're going to try our best to win again, understanding again that we are fishing against some of the best fishermen in the state of Georgia. And Lee, what would you say?
Oh yeah, man, I totally agree with you, Jeff. My background in fishing is a lot like yours, except maybe you took it a step further. I've been fishing tournaments. I was 17 and never made it to the BASS level, but I fished a lot of tournament trails and did pretty well in the big tournaments, and made it to the state championship just about every year with my partner back then, West Point, when they were having that state championship, West Point every year. But going into this, man, like you say, I'm excited about it. I'm ready to go and back it up, hopefully, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're fishing. Not only our club. I mean, you look around, you see all these weights posted and these points coming up, and already in a couple of the tournaments we've already had, and man, it's surprising already. The good part hadn't even got here yet. Some may not agree with that, but I agree that Jeff and I are a little bit different fishermen, and I like the shallow water and he likes the deep water, but kind of a little bit different. Everybody always says, "Hey, Lord, I hope that don't ever get hooked up together because they may be something." But hey, can't ever tell. But anyway, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to defending the points championship and hopefully have a good time doing it. Oh man, it was great, and being out there on the water, I kind of saw it unfold. I was running. I wanted to see my guys, but I was wanting to do a lot of videoing too, and I'd ask my guys when I come up to them, hey, you doing any good? How many fish you got? How much weight you think you got? And honestly, when I went back to the dock to get my boat out of the water before everybody got in there, I kind of knew already pretty much who the top two were going to be. And it was crazy, man. I didn't really say anything to anybody besides, hey, man, y'all are doing good compared to what I'm hearing. Everybody's doing pretty good. And, it means a lot, when we got back and we found out, hey, we waited enough to have the championship for the points, and it was great, man. I love being a part of it.
So one of the questions I get asked quite often is, what do I have to do to get into tournament fishing with a John boat? And my answer is always just come join. There's clubs all over the state of Georgia, Xtreme Jonboat Anglers being one of them, but literally some of our guys back in the day started out with a John boat that they bought at Academy Sports and didn't have a trailer for it, and just put the boat on the back of their truck and back down the ramp and took the boat off and fished. And from that group, the next thing they put on their boat was a trolling motor. And eventually all of us went from that. My first boat, literally I paid $250 for it. Bought it from a gentleman in Ranburne, Alabama. And true story, went over to look at the boat, and it was in a barn, and the chickens, there were actually nests in the boat, and there were eggs in the nest. So I gave the eggs, of course, to the farmer before I took the boat and bought it $250. Had one trolling motor, and it had an old Evinrude, I believe it was a 9 horsepower motor on the back. I didn't even know that there was such a thing as a John Boat Club. And like I said earlier, I started fishing Lake Seton here in Carroll County And that grew into a small club. And you know, as I progressed, I traded up to my low that I have now. And as with most of us that fish John boat clubs, we had trolling motors on the back. Nothing wrong with that. Some of the guys still have trolling motors on the back of their boats. But what separates what we do from what you would do, say, in a if you run a bass club that had gas motors, 300, 250 horsepower motors, $60,000, $80,000 boats, you can get in that same level of competition with very little investment on the front end. And over the past, since TEC started, and we had the state championship, I've seen people taking their boats. I know Lee's done it. I've done it. Most of the guys that are in all the clubs all over the state of Georgia have one thing in common, and that is during the off season, we spend 2 or 3 or 4 months getting our boats ready for the next season, whether it's upgrading to lithium-ion batteries or putting bigger trolling motors or putting electric motors, which is different than a trolling motor, on the back, or improving our live wells or putting carpet or Sport-TEC or, you know, whatever it is. We spend money fixing up our boats and improving our tackle, and it makes us better every year. So the difference in, I guess what I'm saying is the difference in what we do and what someone in a bigger bass club with a 250 horsepower motor does is during the off season, we take a small boat and we customize it to fit our needs. And I think that makes us accessible to an entirely new population of folks that want to get into bass fishing, but really can't afford that $60,000 or $80,000 rig.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Jeff. Like I say, you know, we always tinkering and messing around during the off season in the cold months, and when we're not having tournaments, messing with our boats. Even stuff like I put some new carpet on my boat this past off season. But another thing to me, in this style of fishing, you know, we both, like we say, a lot of people fishing these John boat tournaments. It's electric motor only. That's going into the TEC this year. Fish the big tournaments. I mean, we've all done it probably sometime in our life, and with the big motors, and you can run all over the lake, man. You can be on, like we just fished West Point. You know, you can be at one arm, creek arm, and 10 minutes later, you can be 15 miles away from there at another spot in that big boat. Well, what I found out just from about 2 or 3 years of electric motor only and John boat fishing is that you better hone your skills real quick, because where you put in, that's where you're fishing pretty much. Mm-hmm. You're fishing in that creek. You're fishing in that 2 or 3 mile radius. I have been 5 miles from the ramp before, but I barely made it back. So, hey, it'll test you. It'll put your skills to work. It'll you'll go through every lure in the tackle box sometimes just try to figure out what in the world these fish gonna bite up here in this area. You know, it's a totally different ball game, and I love it. I love it. I spent years and years, you know, running the big motors and doing that, and I thought, I don't know if I can go back. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth.
That's it. That's a good point. And I remember I won a couple of tournaments. I won one time at Lake Sinclair. My big motor wouldn't even crank, and I just put the trolling motor down and started fishing riprap and won the tournament and never cranked the big motor. And so one thing that John boat fishing has taught me is that most of the time there's just as many fish within a mile of the ramp as there is 10 miles from the ramp. So it's made me a better fisherman in the sense that now, being offshore fisherman, I look for creek channels, I look for drop-offs, I look for changes in the rocks, the grind, you know, if it goes from chunk rock to small pebbles or sand to small pebbles, you know, I look for those things. And I could have probably found those same things back when I had a gas guzzling 150 horsepower back then, was a big motor, Mercury on the back. I'm catching as big a fish now, and maybe even bigger, than I did when I had that big motor. And it's because I've learned to fish within my bounds. And when I look at a small lake, you know, it's different when you have a small lake. Like we fished West Point this past, well, some people did. I had an accident, never made the water. But you can only go halfway because the other half has to be coming back. So like Lee said, you have limitations. So right off the bat, you have to know I can only go if your motor will go 4 miles on a good day, you know you can only go 2 miles from the ramp. So what that causes you to do is say, okay, look, we have boat docks, we've got channels, riprap, we have whatever, and you concentrate on those areas. And there's just as many fish close to the ramp as there is, like I said, 10 miles away. But it's just finding them. And that's really the challenge.
to try to defend our title and try to put this thing back on the paperwork and take our team to the next level. I'm excited for ePropulsion, and hopefully we'll have a real good tournament. I'm ready for May. I'm ready for the warmer weather. Really, is what I'm ready for. But like I said, man, I found so many holes. The last TEC, being on the video crew, that I always want to go check and see what the fish are doing there, that I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to hit my own holes. I don't know. I need to go practice, I guess. But I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to defending the title. We have a ball, man. And if you can't have fun doing what we do, you just need to get out of it, because it's all about having fun, being out there with what the good Lord gave us, in nature, and being out having fun. I love it.
But I think we're at a crossroads in John boat fishing. Again, seeing it start from just the guys with just boats on the back of trucks and move along from trolling motors. And now a lot of the guys have primary propulsion motors on the back. And then this year, for the first time, having ePropulsion on as a major sponsor, giving away an electric motor, a primary propulsion motor for the back of the boat is a big deal. And so I see this sport as a growing thing. And so, I know there are boat manufacturers now that are even looking at just building boats specifically for tournament bass fishermen that use electric motors. So this is a growing sport. And for those of you that are out there that hear this, join a local club, get to know, even if you don't know anything about bass fishing, just join. I'll tell you what, these guys, I could go on and on and on. My story this past Saturday had a problem with my boat. Immediately my boat slid off the back of the trailer, and immediately just about the entire club from nowhere showed up and put my boat back on that trailer. And then we had a member that had a flat tire, and Lee and I were up there, and then Chris, Hannah, and I were up there trying to figure out how we were going to get the tire fixed on the trailer. And then we had a problem with one of our members at the TEC last year, and by the time we got back up there, Donnie Boone had already went and found the tire to replace it. So, this is the perfect environment for anyone that wants to just move up from a bank fisherman and start just learning how to bass fish. And so again, I would encourage everybody that listens to this to join a club or get in touch with the president of a club. And you can get on, if you just put John Boat clubs in the search engine on Facebook, a lot of them will pull up. So check us out. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Jeff. I've just gotten into this John Boat electric motor only fishing, just with you guys, Xtreme, 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm loving every minute of it. Like I said before, I don't even know if I could go back to big gas motor fishing. And we have some of the, not only our club. I mean, you can look at all around at these clubs that's fishing, especially going to be at the TEC. They are some sticks. There are some hammers. I mean, some hammers. They're catching fish that I never saw on the big trails. I mean, with these sacks here, man, this is crazy. These 20+ sacks every time we go out. That was almost unheard of. Just every once in a while somebody catch a sack like that in these big lakes. And I know that the boats are getting better. The electronics are getting a lot better to find these fish, of course. But yeah, I love it, man. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I'm looking forward to going and defending our title at the TEC this May. Looking forward to it, definitely.
Well, 21:37 is what I seen.
12:39.
My name is Shane Deering. My regular fishing partner is Chris Thompson. I fished with Alan Garman in the TEC in 2020.
My name's Alan Garman. I represent Xtreme, 5 Alive, 3 and 5. I represent many clubs, but Xtreme's where my heart is. And I used to fish with David Fitzpatrick, but some things happened, and I took a season off. And I ended up fishing the TEC with Shane Deering.
We didn't even have a fish for probably the first couple hours.
Yeah, I think it was 9:30, 10 before we caught our first fish, something like that. I mean, it was.
And then Alan actually found them on a jig. And
Yeah,
I think the first fish he caught was pretty decent one. It was close to 3 pounds. And then he caught one more after that, and we had another little lull there where we didn't catch any for probably another hour and a half.
And then ain't that when we shot across the lake?
That's when we shot across the lake, because you had
that other point.
He knew spots on the left side that I didn't really fish a whole lot and didn't know about, so we started there first. Well, I knew everybody was going to run to the back, you know, and there were several people that we couldn't beat, so we had agreed to start it on his spots and fish those, and then later in the day jump over to the spots that I knew and, you know, utilize those. So that's what we ended up doing. We jumped over probably about noon, right before noon.
Yeah, it was 11-ish. Yeah.
And as soon as we jump over on that side and pull up on the point there that leads into the back of hard labor there, Brett rolls up on us and starts filming. And as soon as he turns the camera on, I set the hook on a fish.
The excitement of tournament fishing is when you make good moves like that. Now, you know, it would have been a bad move if we'd have went all the way over there and possibly left fish and not caught any fish after that. We just couldn't get on the big fish. You know, that's the only thing we were lacking. We were getting bit. We just wasn't getting the mungo bites is what I call, you know, those game-changing bites, I guess you can say. Slow covering water is important. Very, very, very important, you know.
Yeah, and everybody's got their different baits, so I don't mind fishing behind people because everybody fishes.
I love fishing behind people. It don't bother me a bit.
All 4 teams had 5 fish, and we already knew too that Taylor and Dusty had a good bag. So, you know, we were pretty comfortable about weight, you know, what we had and what we kind of guesstimated that the other teams had. So we were actually pretty confident, I'm not going to lie, that we may have, you know, the most weight of any of the clubs.
I had envisioned that we were going to be the club champions, just for the simple fact that Taylor had been out there. Taylor and Patricia had been out there, 4 weeks before this, and the guy done caught an 11-pounder. Okay, he's found some big fish, but not just that. It was as a club, we all went out there, and I told everybody if we all come in with a 12-pound average, then we'll win the club championship. 60 pounds between 4 teams is pretty daggone strong.
Yeah,
I mean that's like the mecca of fishing right now. To me, that's all there is. I mean, it's like the TEC or the Bassmaster Classic. And sorry, I don't own a $50,000 Ranger. So to me, this is the pinnacle of John boat fishing in the state of Georgia. If you qualify, and just qualifying is to me an honor. I mean, a serious honor. Winning, OMG. That's like, I guess that would be like winning the Classic, eh? You know, so I don't know. The TEC is huge to me, huge. It's the best of the best.
You know, it's the spotlight. It's the stage setter. It's what you strive for in the John boat clubs. You know, you take the top 4 teams from every club and you pit them against each other. Just to be in the top 4 of your club is an honor in itself. Then to get to compete with, you know, all these other guys that are just, I mean, sticks. I mean, you got some fishermen in these clubs. I mean, buddy, they'll pour it on you. You know, just because they're in a little old John boat don't mean they can't fish. And, you know, to fish against these guys and then to compete with them it's really an honor. And You know, the fact that they've made something like the TEC to put the spotlight on all these little old bitty, you know, country boy fishermen. You know, it's really cool. And like I said, it's an honor for me, you know, just to be able to be recognized, you know, and have a chance to possibly win it, and to come in the beginning, to actually, you know, qualify and be able to fish it from the beginning. There's no greater honor or excitement for me.
I got a question, Shane. What the heck were you thinking that day? What were you thinking on that morning when we launched? You know, what was your expectations?
As far as what we could do,
Yeah.
man, I was just praying that we could put 5 keepers in the boat.
This just wanted 5 fish. Okay, I did know that.
5 fish.
That's, you know, I was
as long as they were 12 inches and we could keep them, I didn't care what they weighed at first.
I know I was preaching 12 pounds a piece and all that, but you know, I was just hoping for 5. I would have settled for 5 dinks in the TEC, man. You know, we're fishing against the monsters out here, you know. So
for Xtreme to come in there, you know, and like I said, we didn't do that great the first year. Had several complications. It's a chance for a little redemption to come back and actually, you know, put our club up there. And
that's what I'm proud of, you know.
To take the club championship. Yeah, that was nice.
Let's end it with go Xtreme.
Yes, sir.
My boat's going to Patricia. So yeah, it has to be Taylor and Patricia.
Patricia and Taylor are going to be hard to beat, but I'm gonna pull for old underdog Dusty.
Underdog.
Yeah, I hope he can pour it on in.
No. All right. Here, and then look over to him.
Tiny, will y'all? Tiny. Let me get one for our group.
Morning, David Fitzpatrick and Michael Galloway with Xtreme Jonboat Anglers.
Man, I bought a John boat and really didn't even know nothing about John boat tournament fishing. Went up to a local lake up the street and got to catching just a few fish. You know, thought I got pretty good on the lake. You know, I heard little rumors that there was going to be a tournament up there, and I thought I'd try my hand at it, and I learned I wasn't as good as I thought I was. When Xtreme came and fished the TEC the first year, we had a boat get disqualified, and kind of just sent everybody's morale down the drain. You know, we didn't do horrible. You know, if we would have had that one extra sack, it would have been a completely different situation. But it was nice to come back this year and get redemption. You know, go from last to first, basically. The ePropulsion's new this year. I've been doing a lot of research on them. I really like the whole concept of their motors and everything like that. I really like that. I think it's like a Spirit or a Sprint or something like that. It's just, you know, just a little motor that I've been checking out. And I mean, it's not the most powerful thing, but I mean, for what it is, that you can load it up in a suitcase pretty much, carry that thing around, slap it on your boat and go take off it's impressive. They're really stepping their game up as far as I can see. Man, I want to tell you, we showed up, I was a nervous wreck. We fished that tournament with the club, I don't know, maybe a month and a half beforehand, and went out there and goose egged. So I was worried to death that we weren't going to catch no fish. Went out there first morning, was super excited to just see the turnout that it really was. You know what I mean? You think you know what you're getting into, and then you get there and you're like, whoa, you step back and you're like, this is a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be. This isn't your Saturday pot tournament up at your local fishing hole. But yeah, we were nervous. I know I was. I'm not gonna lie. I knew we were fishing against the best guys in every club. So Xtreme's got a pretty solid team coming this year to the championship. I'm pretty excited to see the group of guys we got coming this year, and we got some really good guys Xtreme's a very good club. You know, if anybody's looking for a good club, Xtreme is a great one to fish. And this year they're actually taking the championship team, and they're actually coming back as two different boats this year. So that's going to be pretty interesting and cool to watch in itself. See two guys that you know fish together. They know the same spots. They know everything about one another. And it's going to be cool to watch him. See who's going to get to that spot first. Yeah, Patricia, she actually came and won our Rocky Mountain tournament as far as the first solo event. She came out there by herself, and she won it by herself with right at fifth. She had just shy of 15 pounds. Big fish went 741.
10:34.
That girl can whack them. That's for sure. And I told everybody before that they got started, I said, y'all better just watch out for her. That's the one that I feel like is going to show all you boys up. And when that happened, I stepped back, I shook my head, I looked at him, I said, I might have wrecked this morning, you know, and I wish I would have fished, but I'm glad I can say that I didn't get whooped.
Team number 17, Dusty Garman and Taylor Smith with Xtreme Jonboat Anglers.
There's your state champion.
Let's do it one more time.
And I was like, well, we're going to just go back and try to catch them where we caught them last time. And they were there. I mean, you know, the day that me and her caught them, they were there, but we weren't. That was more or less the first time we'd really fished that spot. And once we got on, we kind of stuck with them, and we moved around a little bit to try other stuff, you know, to see if we could catch them. But in all reality, we came back and even invited him over to catch some, you know, on that day.
And I did.
Yeah, and he did, and then lost a couple more. So yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, that spot's got some fish on it. So I said, well, I spent 2 different days, I think, on Google Earth searching and made 20-something waypoints on Google Earth that was similar to that spot, just in case somebody beat us there, or, you know, they weren't there or whatever. So we made it there first and never left.
I asked him after the tournament, I was like, I think I hit you pretty hard. He's like, honestly, I didn't even feel it because I was so like in shock.
I'll tell you what, though, my back is still hurting from toting the team.
Oh, here we go. Oh. And we were like, there's no way this is going to cut it. We just knew there was going to be a 23, 24-pound bag. And then when you walked up and told us to go last, I'm like, dude, there's no way he's doing that back-to-back years. Like, he's just going to use us to give somebody else a scare that's going to weigh in a little early. I'm like, there's no way.
We actually were watching it live. There was like 5 boats in front of us, and we had talked to all 5 of those boats, or they had talked to us, vice versa. And, you know, they were like, oh, we got 14, and we got 6, and we got 9. And so I'm sitting in the boat. I'm just sitting there, and people are coming up talking to me. And I probably need to apologize because so many people, like, congratulated us, shook our hands and everything else. And I was just like, I don't even remember half of it, to be honest with you. But we were sitting there, and I'm watching it on live, and he's watching it on live. And he calls me. I'm like, he's sitting in the truck. Why the heck is he calling me? He's like, are we about to win this? And I was like, dude, I don't know.
This is what you call the final mile.
Final mile. I'm ready for it to be over with.
Completely?
Yes, I'm done. I'm exhausted.
So you feel like you got it?
I didn't think we did, but I think we may.
Like Xtreme Jonboats, man. We won the state, club, for the state, TEC championship for the club. And
you got it. Hold on,
Club! The club champions.
Hey, just stay right there.
It's Xtreme Jonboat Anglers with 49.
We had a group chat between the 4 of us, that Saturday. And we were like, hey, we're catching them on this. We work as a team,
It was pretty funny. We sent the text at 11:39, and I hadn't texted. He had been doing the one doing all the texts, and I was trying to just run the motor and the graph and everything. And I texted. All I said was, "We got 20," and everybody's like, "Who got 20?" Yeah. So me and Patricia finished first. Dusty and his partner finished second. in the club. So we'll be battling out next year.
Get them on the beginning, end of the day?
Mostly by 11 o'clock. We upgraded a couple times, but it slacked off pretty slow, and it's what it is. We sit in the same place all day, never move.
Yeah. Here we go. Last team. 21-13. Son! Good job. Congratulations. Yeah. God almighty, son. Hang on, we get another picture.
18, Jacob Parsons and Dale Parsons. Xtreme Jonboat.
1463.
Yep.
Bag. Good bag.
Jacob, let me get y'all's picture for the group, please.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God. Come on, Pops.
That's it. That's a wrap. 2021. Here we come.